Hi, Orange Girl here with another scrapbooking process video for you. I am using the 2018 Hip Kit Club kits, and my assignment this week is to do a mixed media post for the Mixed Media Monday. And as soon as I saw the acrylic paint that came in this month's color kit, I knew I wanted to scrap this photo. So I went ahead and I printed out the photo in black and white twice and then in color once, and I'm going to create a grid design. That's pretty much all I know, is that I want to use the paint, and I think I want to make some sort of a grid design using these three photos. And I wasn't sure I was going to use all three, but I went ahead and printed them because that was my first idea, my first thought. So I'm just using my palette knife and I'm spreading this paint onto the white marshmallow cardstock that comes in the cardstock kit. My leftover paint I'm just putting there on the side there, and then I'm adding some water to it so that I can add some splatters around. I end up doing this a couple of different times because I end up adding splatters in other places as we go. But what I'm doing here is I'm adding water, and then I am squeezing the top, like where the brushes actually meet the handle of the brush, and I squeeze it until a big plop comes out, a big blob. Clearly not the technical term for that, but that's basically what I do when I want those big blobs like that to come out. It just creates a nice round splatter. So, okay, so from the kit, from the PL kit, I pulled out this card, and I'm cutting it in half. I'm going to use it behind the two black and white photos. And then I'm using this other card that you see there that says today, and I'm going to use that for my title. I had started to place some things and then realized it was still very, very wet, so I went ahead and used my heat tool in order to save a little bit of time. So that's the basic design right there, and I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and stitch behind things. And so I've started that. I made like a little frame behind where my title's going to go, and I'll add some more stitching as we go too. So I'm looking back in, and I know I'm going to use the gold thickers, and so I thought I might pull a few gold things too, but I don't end up using them. Right now I'm just kind of going through. I have all of the stickers and other embellishments over to my right on my table, and I'm just pulling those things out and looking to see what's on there that I might be able to use that's black, white, or gray. And keep in mind that I have already made a layout or two with the kit, and so I have already used some of the black and the white. But I end up managing and coming up with enough stuff that I end up liking what the final product looks like. So I've decided that I'm going to add a little bit more stitching, and I want it to be at least kind of straight. So I'm adding some lines in there with my pencil, and then I'm just going to go ahead and make basically another frame here for behind that photo. And I'm just doing a straight stitch at first, and then I go all the way around again, and I add some kind of fun stitches at the top just to add a little bit more messiness, a little bit more texture, something a little bit more interesting. And then I'm done with that. Getting all the little bits off. Okay, so then I'm going to place everything back again. And then I have to get busy with embellishing and figuring out what the rest of the design of my page is going to look like. So I honestly, I kind of stepped away in a minute here. I'm going to step away because I wasn't sure where I wanted to go next, and I wasn't finding enough of the colors that I wanted in the sizes and things that I wanted. So I found a couple of black hearts, and I will end up using those. Then I decided I should probably splatter up in that corner behind that photo. And I did that, and I really like how that looked. I really like how that looked. So I let that dry, walked away for a little bit. And then I came back with this paper, and I just cut out the yellow portion of that paper to use as another layer behind the two black and white photos to add a little pop of yellow in those areas. And now I'm trying to decide what I want to use as some sort of a border. And I had already kind of thought that it would end up being this black paper just because it's just makes sense to me. So I'm cutting out the inside because it has those glorious um, bugs on the back, insects on the back of it, and I know I will use it. So while I'm cutting this up, I'm going to explain what these photos are. It's the same photo, like I said, three times, two black and whites and one color photo. These were taken when we took my daughter and her best friend to the MJ Live concert in Chicago. And at this point, we did get them to we did get them to get in their Michael Jackson costumes. They are Michael Jackson freaks. They love Michael Jackson. And B was Michael for Halloween, and you probably saw a layout. If you follow me, you saw a layout not that long ago that I did of her in her smooth criminal costume. We got the girls to wear their costumes, not knowing that we were actually going to a Michael Jackson show. And they are both very aware that he has passed away. And so they knew we weren't going to see him or anything like that. But we drove into Chicago and did not tell them that we were going there. And when we were in the parking ramp, there was this awesome yellow wall, and we were waiting for the elevator. And I'm like, let's take a picture here. So we took several pictures, and because it was dark and everything, the photos didn't turn out perfectly, but this one turned out not too bad. And I like the look on my daughter's face, and both the girls are just so cute in this photo, and they just leaned up and posed right away, and it was just perfect. So I knew that this would be a fun one to document just because it was such a contrast in the photo. And so I was anxious to go ahead and document this story. And although I don't tell the story a lot on this page, in fact, it's just the title, I will tell more of it in Project Life, I'm sure. And then, and if I don't there, then I often write on the back of my layouts if I can't figure in a way to do the journaling. But I know I will, because I think my Project Life that week is probably going to end up being mostly this story, because I just do that. So, okay, so I found some more yellow. You saw me cut that second page that I have that is that same paper that has all the different colors on it, but polka dot and white polka dots on it. So I decided I wanted a little something over in this corner. So I'm just tearing the edge there, and then adding that yellow behind it, which I thought was kind of, I don't know, kind of fun. And at this point, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go ahead and stitch around the outside of the layout or not. I don't end up doing that, and I like it without the stitching. So, but right here I'm trying to decide, because I still wanted to use some of that yellow behind one of the photos. So I just cut it in half. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and when I do it, I rip the paper. You'll see here in a second. As I glue this, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should just glue that yellow, and that's right there is where I ripped it at the bottom. You can't end up telling, and when it's in the page protector, you're really not going to be able to tell, but it made me mad. But anyway, I was able to lift it up. I was thinking, Donna, you should just go ahead and glue it right to the white cardstock, but anyway, it worked out. Not a big deal. Luckily, everything was dry, and I didn't mess anything up too badly. So now I'm just kind of roughing up the edges a little bit to give it a little bit more dimension. And I found 3 or 4 different circles with sayings on them, and I kind of auditioned those on the page before I end up going with a sticker. Or actually, no, not a sticker. I end up going with, well, it does have stick on the back, but it's a wood veneer, one of the wood veneer pieces that says, "Oh my heart," which I thought was kind of perfect for it, because that the whole time we were just so excited for them and to surprise them. And it was Maya's mom and dad as well as our daughter, and we both, and so it was really the 6 of us drove into Chicago, and went to the show and really enjoyed it. It was fun. And Prince opened up. Prince, who has also passed away, which they both knew, and they kind of started figuring it out when we went in to the room, the big like main area where there was merch tents and stuff, and there was an MJ Lives T-shirt, and they were like, "What?" And they're like, kind of talking to each other, like, "Yeah, but he's dead, and I don't get it," and all this kind of stuff. So then when Prince came out, and I said to my daughter, "Now, Prince is not alive," and she's like, "Right." I said, "So this is an imitator," and then she like kind of started to get it, but I don't think she really for sure knew until he walked out. And she didn't stop bouncing the entire time. She just absolutely loved it. So I'm still searching for black and white, and I want to do some more layers behind my photo, and I end up not using gold. I end up using a piece of the black that I have. I'm trying to think. I think it's the same paper that is my um, the border around the outside of my page. Right now I'm trying to figure out that circle. I don't really like the white circle. I didn't really like what the black one said. It just didn't quite fit for me. It wasn't that I don't like it, it just doesn't fit this layout. And I'm trying to come up with some more layers. So I'm kind of doing 3 or 4 different things. My mind's kind of having squirrel moments at this point. And then I find this piece right here, which is off that leatherette. It was just a nice little border. And then I found off the puffy stickers um, uh, something that says off the beaten path, which I thought kind of fit. And then I think I end up finding a couple phrases. Oh, I use one of the phrases, I guess, um, from, I think those were also in the PL kit from that sheet that's right there with the green letters. But in looking, I found that wood veneer circle, and I was like, yes, perfect. And then this says, your story is a gift. And I liked that, so I decided to use that. And I end up popping that up off the page. So I pop the color picture up off the page, and I pop that saying that says, your story is a gift. That I pop those 2 things off with some foam, and that's about it. So I still think I'm going to add some layers here. I'm not sure where. And some splatters. I still have some splatters to go to. So this is my cheap craft foam that I get at Michael's. It has adhesive on one side, and I just stick it on, and then I usually use some of my glue that's in my bottle to glue it down. In this case, because it was a sticker, I didn't have to do that. I used the sticker from the sticker to stick the foam onto, and then I use the adhesive that's on the foam to stick it to my page. So at this point, this is where I was like, oh, I'm gonna like this layout now. And all I did was cut around the outside of this card and add some black behind it. And then I was like, oh my goodness, that's what it needed. And I love it when that happens. It's like as soon as that happens, and like any like mental blocks that I was having or creative blocks that I was having with finishing the page is gone. So as soon as I did that, I was like, oh, that's exactly what it needed. And it seems awfully simple, but it's really all that mattered. So then I go in and I do add a little bit black behind, yep, right there. And then I'm gonna, I think off camera, or maybe I even do it on camera, I'm gonna stitch on some of the cards. Oh, here we go. Remember I told you that I was gonna add a little bit more paint. So there's that. And I add some black splatters. And I also use that same black paper, that pattern paper that I used as my border. I use that same black paper to use and a heart punch to cut out, or yeah, to punch out a couple of different hearts because I felt like it needed just a little bit more, and I didn't have any more hearts because I used them on that heart page that I did last week. So anyway, and then that's just about it. All I have left is pretty much gluing it down and adding some black splatters. and that's about it. So I was really excited to get this scrapped, and I did it. It came together in about an hour, which is pretty quickly for me, I would say. Sometimes layouts take me a day, or sometimes they sit on my desk for a few days because I can't decide. I have a layout that will be probably my next video after this one. That's been done for a little while, but it was on my desk for probably a month because I did the backgrounds and then I just couldn't go anywhere. After that, I couldn't make it happen, so I just had to look at it for a while. So I did a whole bunch of other layouts and then I came back to it and finished it. So I don't know if anybody else ever does that, but sometimes, and I end up liking how it turns out, but it just took me a while to get there, and I don't know. So I'm adding some black shimmers. I forget what it's called, midnight something or something midnight. I can't remember. It's a shimmers for my stash, and I'm just adding a bunch of black splatters and then gluing down my hearts. And I also glue down all of the cards. So I'm using the um, adhesive that I have in the bottle just for when I'm gluing it to the page because it just is stickier. And then also when I use any sort of mixed media, especially gesso, which I didn't have to use on this layout, but acrylic paint would also fit into that category. Like my regular tape runner just doesn't hold it. And there I got a little bit of paint on my finger and then it got on the tissue paper, but I decided it didn't really matter because it's kind of a messy layout anyway, and I just added to it. And that's it. So here come the close-ups. You're going to get to see some of the stitching up close and the paint up close, and that's about it. Thanks a lot for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this layout, and I hope you continue to watch my videos going forward, and thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.